Hello, guys. Welcome. How are you? Welcome to Careerist. Welcome to lesson number 1. Today, we're going to talk about QA. We're going to talk about quality assurance, about testing. We're going to talk about the industry. We're going to talk about the salaries. We're going to talk about what we actually do at work. And of course, we're going to tell you how to get this job. As well, we're going to answer all of your questions. Please bear with us. Most of the questions are going to be answered during the lesson. Just listen carefully. In case you're still going to have questions, which is okay, we're still going to answer those. More to the second part of the lesson. And at the end of the lesson, I will just answer all of your questions. During the second part of the lesson, of course, we're going to answer the questions related to the lesson, but other questions, more program related, course related, I will definitely answer at the end of the lesson if you're still going to have questions. So, guys, let me introduce you myself. My name is Max Glubochanski. I'm the co-founder of Careerist, and I have more than 10 years of experience working as a software QA engineer at Apple, Intel, and many other Silicon Valley companies. Also, please meet Careerist, hopefully your career partner. We are a leading career training platform pioneered by industry experts to maximize the students' hiring opportunities. Whenever we say industry experts, we mean by that our instructors, our teachers are the best of the best. QA managers, QA leads, software QA engineers, software development engineers, and test from the best companies in the world, like Google, Apple, Facebook, Intel, Bank of America, and many others, many other companies that came here to share their knowledge with you guys, and of course to help you avoid the mistakes that most people are doing in this industry, the mistakes that we used to have in the beginning of our path, and also to help you get your maximum possible rate in minimum possible time. That's why we are here for. And we are supported by more than 300 career staff, which makes us definitely one of the largest boot camps in the US. And our graduates are landing a high-paying jobs in record time. By the way, the fact that we have so many staff and employees actually allows us to help and support you much more than anyone else ever before. That's why we see fantastic, amazing results. Just in 2021, we had 340 graduates in manual QA that got jobs across 40 states. And in 2022, we already had 430 people that reported us about getting the job. So the actual numbers are much higher, and we are very, very proud of it. And literally, our graduates are getting those jobs every single day now. Whenever I said high-paying jobs, we mean that the salary is going to be between 65 to 100K if it's a full-time job, and which means around 33 to $50 per hour if it's going to be contract job. So 50% getting contract, 50% getting full-time job. You will get opportunities to get both, and both jobs are going to be 8 hours per day, 5 days a week, 40 hours per week in most of the cases. Of course, exceptions happen. Some will get 60K, some will get 110K. But overall, the range is between 65 to 100K salaries. Our graduates are landing those jobs in record time, and we mean by that it's usually between 2 to 4 months. Here, you also can find exceptions. Some will get the job after 2 weeks. Some will get the job after 4 months and 3 weeks. But as long as you're going to follow the instructions, you're going to get it in the range of 2 to 4 months. Maybe if there's going to be some kind of crisis or layoffs, it might take a little longer, but overall, that's the range that we see for the past 4 years. And once we're going to see that it changes, we're definitely going to update it. But for the past 4 years, now and before, that's pretty much the range, 2 to 4 months. Job search, usually on average, it's 2 to 3. The salaries on average around $75,000 for our graduates, as we see it for the past years. Now, when I say average and I say 75, it doesn't mean that you will not be able to get 80 or 90 or 100K. Okay, it just means that that's the average that we can see right now. You definitely can be more than the average if you're just going to follow the instructions. And I'm going to talk about the instructions in more details very soon. Overall, it's very straightforward. You just watch the lessons, join the internship, be in touch with your mentor, follow instructions. That's very, very straightforward. So guys, what is QA? It's not questions and answers. It's not Q&A. And by the way, this lesson gonna be, of course, video recorded and gonna be sent to you to your emails. You will see it tomorrow for sure in your inbox. In case you will not see it in the inbox, please double check spam or promotions folders. We're gonna send you video recordings of the lessons every time after each lesson. So no need to ask, is it gonna be recorded? Yes, of course it will be. Yes, of course, we are now here doing live. And also those of you that already watched our webinars before, you will see some similarity in the first part of the lesson, but I promise you that the second part of the lesson is gonna be completely new and you will learn a lot of new interesting stuff today. So what is QA? So long story short, the main idea of QA is to make sure that everything works, which is the most important part, looks and feels good, okay? So quality assurance. QA stands for quality assurance, and the main idea is to make sure that everything works, looks, and feels good. What I mean by that? I mean that it looks good according to the requirements. I will give you an example. Let's imagine a mobile application or like any application that you have on your phone, dating app, food delivery app, I don't know, flashlight application, any application that you have on your phone, or any web applications that you use, like a website, like google.com or yahoo.com or careers.com or whatever it is, .com or any other website. It's a web application. Now, both web application and mobile applications, they were designed by someone. Then the developer was implementing the design. And basically, we just come to double check, to verify that whatever was created by the developers is according to the requirements, is according to the design, is according to the specs, is according to what's supposed to be there. Okay? Very, very straightforward. We just come to double check that everything works, looks, and feels good. Whenever we see a mismatch between actual and expected behavior, we call it a bug or an issue or an error or a problem. Usually, in our QA industry, we call it a bug. And whenever we find a bug, we report it, we send it to developer so they could fix the bug. And once they fix the bug, they send it fixed back to us so we can double check on the new version that it's no longer reproducible and it was fixed. So basically, our job is not to fix problems. Our job is to, first of all, to report the problem that we found, and after it was fixed, to double check that is no longer reproducible and it was fixed. That's it. That's the job. So if you were worried about complicated job, sophisticated job, that you're going to learn programming languages for that, no. In manual QA, in manual testing, you don't need that. You just need common sense. You need to follow instructions, and the job going to be very simple and easy. And I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to be doing at work. Now, having said that, to get the job, that's the problem. So the problem is not doing the job because it's so simple. The problem is getting the job, because in order to get the job, you will need much more than to do the job. And of course, we know exactly what you need, and we're going to make sure that you're going to get all that in order to impress the hiring manager, to get maximum possible rate in minimum possible time, and you going to get this job. So first of all, don't worry about the job, and don't worry about getting the job, because we're going to support you, we're going to help you, we're going to definitely help you get it as soon as possible. But I don't want you to feel that it's going to be complicated or sophisticated, because it will not. And yes, you will learn much more than you need to do the job, because you will need it for the interview to get the job. So software testing, or QA, prevents errors and defects, also called as issues or bugs in software, by continuously testing the product and reporting issues. Let's talk about the training. First of all, you're looking for a new and better career. You're in the right place. Second, you have knowledge of English. People should understand you. You should understand others. You should not have any communication problems with your manager, with your team. So if you have an accent, it's fine. It doesn't need to be perfect English, but people should understand you. You should understand others, and you should not have communication problems at work. You're ready to accept 65 to 100K, because that's pretty much the ranges of the salaries that you're going to see. And you should, of course, keep in mind that the job search takes around 2 to 4 months. 2 to 4 month job search period, of course. If you are looking for a job in US, you need to be authorized to work in the US. If you're looking for a job in Canada, you need to be authorized to work in Canada. If you look for a job in any other country, you should be authorized to work in other countries. The salaries that we are mentioning here today are relevant only for US and Canada. For other countries, the situation is different, and the salaries are between 5 to 7 times less, which doesn't mean that it's a bad salary, just it's much less salary. In some countries, it's actually a very, very nice salary as well. So that's regarding that. What you don't need, well, you don't need any specialized equipment, as long as you can watch the lesson, as long as you can see us and hear us. You definitely okay. Once you're going to get the job, of course, the company will send you the equipment, the laptop, the devices. Maybe you're going to test some mobile devices or stuff like that. Definitely, you will get it from your company once you get the job. Right now, you just want to be able to watch the lessons, to hear us and to see us, and you don't need to buy any equipment for that. You don't need any technical background. Yes, you don't need any technical background, or you don't need any computer science degree or any coding skills, and you will not need to learn coding skills or programming languages in manual testing, in manual QA. You're gonna need it in the future if you would like to move forward and basically move to more advanced roles, but I'm going to talk about it soon. What I'm trying to say is that for manual QA, for the 65 to 100K, you don't need any technical background or any computer science degree. Usually, they do want to see some, previous experience in the industry. That's why we're going to make sure that you will get it at the end of the lessons. You will join the internship and you will get your real on-hand technical experience that actually companies are looking for, and that's something that you're going to get definitely very soon, but you don't need it as of now. So let's talk about the salaries. Let's talk about the ranges of the salaries in QA. Actually, I want to show you the situation, how it looks right now. So I'm just going to share my screen with you, and we're going to see all that cool stuff. So let me just share my screen, and let me just share my screen, and let's see Glassdoor. So Glassdoor is probably the best possible place for average salaries in different industries. Once you search for software QA engineer, and yes, you're going to become software QA engineers after this program. We have different titles, different names. I'm going to talk about it very soon. It could be QA analyst, QA tester, software QA engineer, and another 20 different titles. But definitely you're going to become a software QA engineer after this program. Your resume, your LinkedIn going to show software QA engineer. You're going to apply for software QA engineer roles and many other roles that are going to be similar or sound like QA or around QA. I will show you that we have different opportunities, different titles that talk about same kind of job. If you're going to see my LinkedIn, you're going to see every job I had a different title, but I was doing exactly the same type of job that you guys are going to be doing once you're going to get it. So let's talk about the salaries. The average salary for QA in the US is $87,000, which is awesome, because just a year ago, a little bit more, the average was around 70,000. So it's definitely growing. Also, you see the ranges are between 72 to 107K. But to be more precise, let's see the average salary of someone without much experience, like you guys. Once you're going to get the experience from the internship, you will have much less than 1 year, for example. And let's see what's the average for 0 to 1 year. So the average salary as of now in US is around $77,000. And the range is between 64 to 94, which is the most likely range. And the possible range can get even higher. So guess what? Our graduates are getting 75K on average. And the range is around 65 to 100K. So exactly what we were telling you about. And that's Glassdoor. Okay, you can always double check Glassdoor. Now, some people are gonna tell me, hey, I'm gonna call myself QA analyst. Well, it's your choice, but if you go and see average salaries for QA analyst in the United States, you will see that the average salary, for example, right now is $82,000. You want to call yourself QA tester? Okay, let's see what's up with QA testers. Average salary is around 70,000. Okay, so that's exactly the ranges that we were mentioning before, right? 70, 82, 77. That's the ranges that we were mentioning before, and that's what you are going to get very soon. Now, regarding the jobs, regarding the positions, regarding the opportunities, if you go to Dice, Monster, Indeed, Glassdoor, LinkedIn Jobs, and you search for QA tester or QA software QA engineer or QA analyst, you will see that any big city gonna show you a lot of jobs. Doesn't matter which city. Usually, like any big metropolitan, gonna have a lot of opportunities. More than 3,000 in Miami, for example, or let's see, Atlanta, Georgia, or Chicago, or many others. You're just gonna see thousands and thousands and thousands of opportunities, positions. It doesn't mean that all of them are going to be exactly for you. For example, you see it shows also QA managers sometimes, but it definitely an indicator about the opportunities in your area, and it definitely shows that the situation is very good right now. Now, I want to remind you that it doesn't really matter where you live, because today, most jobs in tech are remote. Most of our graduates are working right now remotely. Most of you gonna get remote jobs. The last time we checked, it was like around 57 to 60%, but it grows every month, and more jobs are becoming remote, which is awesome. And I really enjoy working remotely for the past years. Definitely highly recommended. You save time, effort, gas, you spend more time with your loved ones, or you travel more. Definitely highly recommended. So you can always double check your area later on, but I just wanted to touch that as well. Let me get back to our presentation, and two things we learn from those numbers. First of all, that that the salaries are growing. As I said, just a year ago it was much less. It was around 69 to 70K. Now it's 86, which is great. The second thing that we learn from this number is that the average software QA engineer in the United States and Canada doesn't know any programming languages, doesn't know any coding, doesn't know any automation. Which is in demand according to the job descriptions. How we know that? Because someone who knows automation, someone who knows programming, someone who knows coding, they will never work for less than $110,000, $115,000. They will not. Just ask one. Okay, that's why those jobs that ask for more, for less, they will. Even if they're going to ask for automation, even if they're going to ask for programming languages, computer science, coding, they will never get someone for less than 110, 115K. That's why those jobs that offer 70, 80, 90, and 100K will get to manual QA like you. How we know that? Because our graduates are getting those jobs every single day, literally. Now, most of the jobs, like 80% of the jobs, going to ask you in the job description for more. For example, more experience, or more programming, or more coding, or more automation, Selenium, WebDriver, Appium, and different other keywords or tools. But eventually, most of those jobs, even that they're going to ask you for more, they will hire a manual QA like you. And yes, we see it for many, many years. It's not something new. It's been around for the past 20 years, and it's something that didn't change much. Okay, so yes, I just want you to be aware of it, and you will witness it very, very soon. So guys, let's talk about the benefits of QA jobs. First of all, it's very easy to learn. No programming skills needed. You don't need a computer science degree. The compensation is great. 65 to 100K is awesome, especially after such short program. It's one of the happiest jobs in the US. That's what brought me into this industry. I wrote this article. You can Google it. QA, happiest jobs, Forbes. That's actually something that definitely brought me into the industry when I found out that this is one of the happiest jobs, and I'm really happy that I found it. The work-life balance is great. That's probably why it's one of the happiest jobs. And especially in tech, usually the work-life balance is better than other places, but in QA, in quality assurance, especially. That's definitely the quickest path to get into the tech. It's kind of a shortcut into the tech world. The quickest way to a job in tech. As you just saw, you have a lot of QA job openings on LinkedIn Jobs, Glassdoor, Indeed, Dice, Monster. You're also going to have opportunities for career growth that I'm going to touch on our next slide. And of course, you can work remotely. As I told you before, most of the jobs in tech are remote. Most of the jobs in QA are remote. Most of our graduates are working remotely. And that's why you have much more opportunities than ever before, because you can apply in any state, in any city. Okay, so when I'm going to show you the map, you will see that you basically can apply anywhere, and you're going to have much more opportunities than anyone before. So let's talk about the career growth opportunities. When you start learning the theory, the terminology, you start to learn about QA, you're a junior QA. So you learn it, then you get your first job or your first internship, for example, where you practice what you learned. You test different platforms, different devices, you use different tools, you attend different meetings, you working in a team, you are creating test cases, you're executing test cases, you're writing bug reports. And don't worry if you don't know what I mean, because I'm going to show you very soon what I mean. It's very simple and you will learn it very fast. Nothing to worry about. But I'm just trying to tell you that whenever you start to practice what you learned and you start doing the actual job, you are becoming already someone with real on-hand experience. And once you have this experience, you can apply not only to junior positions, but also to the mid-level QA positions. And you know what? They don't call themselves mid-level. They just call themselves like a regular position, like software QA engineer, QA tester, QA analyst. Okay. And in this range of junior and mid-level QA positions, you can get 65 to 100K, 33 to 50 per hour. Of course, you will have someone who's going to offer you less. We definitely going to teach you to tell them that your minimum of the minimum is, for example, 70K. If you wish, you can say 65. I recommend to say 70. And if they're going to ask, if they're going to offer you less, we recommend to tell them to never call you again. And if you're going to follow it, you will see very soon that you're going to get 70, 80, 90, 100K. You're going to witness that very soon. So the range of the salary is going to be around 65 to 100K for both junior and mid-level QA positions. Many people just do it for many years. They enjoy it. They love it. I know people that do it more than 10 years. Definitely possible. And I'm sure that you will love it. But if you want to grow, if you want to make more than 100K, more than 50 per hour, you usually have two traditional paths to growth. One is more technical, to become a QA automation engineer. It involves learning programming languages, for example, Python. It involved with learning algorithms. It's going to be more sophisticated, more complicated. But once you're going to learn it, for example, in 15 weeks, you'll be able to get more money, between 110 to 170K. But if you compare manual QA to QA automation, manual QA, it's like kindergarten, and QA automation, it's like university. Okay? Like master's degree. So it's like kindergarten and master's degree. Now, of course, you cannot go and do the master's degree before you are done with the kindergarten and you got your first job, uh, because otherwise you will waste your time and effort in most of the cases. Just listen to this recommendation. Focus on manual QA first, get the job, get the 70, 65, 70 to 100K job. And then, of course, we recommend to give a try to automation, try to learn it. We definitely can help you with that as well in the future. Once you get the job, we would love to help you learn QA automation. But because we don't want you to waste your time and effort, we tell you ahead that you should focus on manual QA first, getting the job in manual QA first. After that, of course, you should try QA automation, but you need to keep in mind that while manual QA is for everyone, and while manual QA is very simple and very easy, QA automation is not for everyone, is not simple, and it's not easy. Okay, but I'm sure that if you really focused and determined, you'll be able to learn QA automation as well. You just need to really be focused and motivated to learn it. So that's about the career growth if you go into something more technical. But some of you don't like code, or will not like code, or are not technical, or they don't want to do anything related to coding or programming or algorithms or stuff like that, which is okay, which is is going to be true for many. In this case, you have the option for career growth going into leadership to become a QA lead or a QA manager or a QA director, where you're going to have more responsibilities, more meetings, and with that, you will get more compensation between 100 to 170K. Definitely, it's possible. So that's regarding the different opportunities for career growth. Let's talk about the job titles. Remember, I told you that we have different titles that talk about same kind of job. So we have QA, it could be QA analyst, QA tester, software QA engineer, manual QA, software quality engineer, quality assurance analyst, software quality assurance analyst, functional QA, black box tester, manual QA analyst, test analyst, QA engineer, quality assurance engineer, quality. Okay, guys, many different titles that talk about same type of job in most of the cases. Of course, you're going to have exception, and sometimes someone will have a software QA engineer position that's going to have a lot of automation and programming and a lot of complicated stuff. But we are not talking about those exceptions, because many others will not need it, and they will just hire manual like you to do the job. Okay, so maximum they will tell you, sorry, we decided to move with someone else, sorry, we need someone with more this or more that. And it's okay, because it's part of the job search, it's part of the game. In order to get the job, you need to know the rules of the game of getting the job, and we know those rules. And according to those rules, sometimes, not sometimes, always, to get the job, you're going to get some no's in the beginning. Some companies will not want to talk to you. Some companies will not like something about your experience or your knowledge or your resume or your LinkedIn or something else. But if you're going to follow our instructions, you're going to see very soon that other companies do want to meet you, do want to interview you, and eventually will hire you if you're going to prepare well and follow our instructions. So the QA training by Careerist, you get convenient online sessions like one now. It's going to be in Zoom or maybe in other platforms in the future. It will allow you to watch the lesson, ask your questions, get your answers. You will also get the video recordings that you can watch anytime that works best for you. If you cannot watch it online, you can always watch it later, offline, whenever it works best for you. the training, you'll get practical training from industry experts from Google, Apple, Facebook, Intel, AT&T, Bank of America, and many other companies. As I mentioned before, our instructors come here to share their knowledge with you guys and to make sure you will get your maximum possible rate and minimum possible time. After the lessons, and I'm going to talk more very soon about the timeline and the exact time of the lessons, of the internship, of the mentorship, of the job search, everything very soon. But just heads on, I want to tell you that after the lessons, you will join an internship where you're going to practice what you learned. And I'm going to talk about the internship very soon. After the internship, which you're going to have with us and with real project, real company that you will be able to put in your resume and your LinkedIn and show your real experience. You will be able to join the mentorship where you're going to have a personal mentor that will work with you one-on-one to make sure that you are prepared for the interview, that you sound good, that you're following instructions, that you are ready to get the job. And of course, once we make sure that you are ready, we're going to help you with the resume, with the LinkedIn, of course, with the job interview preparation. And once you're going to start the job search, we're going to support you until the victory, until you get the job. With your job search, assistance, support, answering your questions, telling you what to do, how, where. We also going to have our job application service that will save your time and effort applying for jobs. And of course, once you're going to get the job, we will be able to provide you the references that companies are always asking for. So guys, I invite all of you to join the program and enroll. Today is lesson number 1. So those of you that still didn't apply or still didn't join, please do. You will see your contract button below. And once you click it, you'll be able to click the get button, which will allow you to choose the option that works best for you. And I promise I'm gonna talk about all the options very, very soon. Okay? Awesome. So this button gonna be here till the end of the lesson, just in case. Now, let me introduce you our instructors, our teachers. Patrick Siebenthal, with over 6 years of experience working in Facebook, Google, Intel. Lana Levinson, senior software developer and test with over 8 years of experience working at many Silicon Valley companies. Right now, she works at Reddit. Ignacio Britos, QA engineer, QA manager with over 14 years of experience at different companies, working at McAfee and many others. We have Brandon Coley that you're going to meet today. He's going to teach the second part of the lesson, software QA engineer at Beachbody, previously with experience in fitness and real estate. So guys, most of us, we didn't have any technical background before we went into this industry. And most of you, like 95% of our students right now, they don't have any technical background. So it's fine. You don't need a technical background to get into this industry. You're in the right place. Maria Navarrete, QA professional with over 14 years of experience working at Xerox and Deltek and many other companies. We have Alex Vastovich, QA manager with over 9 years of experience working at the various Silicon Valley companies. We have Vitaly Yerokhin, QA automation engineer with over 12 years of experience working at Indeed and many other companies. Sofia Tsapchuk, with over 8 years of experience, QA manager at Ring Central. It's a very big company. And also you're going to have Yuri Sokolov, QA lead at Google, with over 10 years of experience in manual and automated testing, head of our manual QA course at Careerist. Also, we have Hezron Padlan with over 12 years of experience working at AT&T, Bank of America. Natalia Zahur, QA manager with over a decade of experience working at Apple and Intel, like me, with experience at Apple and Intel. We have Michael Perkansky, also a QA engineer with extensive experience working at Indeed.com. So our graduates work for some of the world's most innovative companies, like the one you see in front of you and the one that you don't see in front of you, because we have already more than 1,000 companies where our graduates are working, and we are very proud of it. It's in 40 states already, and it could be small companies, middle companies, huge companies, huge corporations, just anything, right? Any website, any mobile application, any big company, any small company, they need a mobile app or a web application, and they need someone to test it. Okay, so definitely a lot of opportunities, much more than ever before. And when I say ever before, I mean that you never had so many mobile and web applications and new startups and new technologies, and it could be software, it could be hardware, it could be virtual reality glasses, it could be devices, it could be anything that could be tested, right? And definitely a lot of opportunities for you guys. So this is the success map where our graduates are currently working. Overall, across the map, you can get 70 to 80K, 35 to 40 per hour, anywhere on the map. But remember, we told you that you can get up to 50 per hour, up to 100K. Yes, you can. If you apply in cities and states like New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Seattle, Washington State, San Francisco, LA, San Jose, San Diego, okay, in California, you definitely can get between in those states that I just mentioned, you can get up to 50 per hour, up to 100K. Of course, sometimes exceptions happen, and in the states that I didn't mention, like Florida, like Georgia, like Texas, like many others, you also can get up to 100K, up to 50 per hour. It's definitely possible, but it's more rare. But still, we see it as well. But in the states that I mentioned before, it's something very normal to get 100K or 50 per hour in our industry. So nowadays, it doesn't matter where you live, because you can apply from wherever you want, right? From Colorado, you can apply in California or Florida or New York or vice versa, and you can get this job like never before. Because before it mostly was were jobs in office, but since COVID came, everything changed, and now most jobs are remote, and it looks like it's gonna become more and more popular. According to many articles, many Forbes articles, the remote gonna stay with us and gonna become more and more popular. So what we actually do at work, let me show you, okay? I'm sure that right now it's not obvious, it's not clear for everyone. Let me share my screen with you, and let me show you what we actually do at work. So let's go here and let's see this website. Okay, so remember I told you we want to make sure that everything works, looks, and feels good. So we start with the works good. So the website loaded. Okay, so we basically refresh or open the website. It shows the website. It didn't crash. Great. It didn't bring page not found. Awesome. It means that this website basically is loading. This is the first functional task that we do to make sure that it loads. It could be a mobile app, that it doesn't crash. That's what we call functionality. Later, we test the different buttons. So if we have a button and we click it, it's supposed to take us to the right link. So for example, this one should take us to the home page, which is probably the same page. So if it's according to the requirements, that's great. What else? Search. We have this functionality. Okay, if it works, great. Of course, we want to search something like like, I don't know, clothes or something. Like, I just try to give you examples of how we're going to test the search functionality. If we have a cart, by the way, this is a shopping cart, right? This is e-commerce that allows you to buy clothes, and in such places we usually have cart, right? So it brings us to the cart page. I'm sure that we have a lot of issues there, but I'm just trying to show you what it means by testing the functionality, how things work. You see this shop now button, so we want to see that it works, right? But I don't see the cursor turn into hand, right? It doesn't allow me to click it. This button is not working. This is definitely a functional issue. I think it's a big problem because I was expecting to be redirected to a shopping page, but no, it doesn't let me in. So that's a problem that we definitely want to report. That's what we call functionality. Another example, functionality going to be, for example, if you're going to have different buttons. So right takes you to the right, left takes you to the left. Learn more opens the learn more page. You have the drop down menu here. If you click it, it drops down. Yay. No, why do you think so much? Anyway, you see it drops down. Now when you click it again, it drops up. Okay, so that's what we mean functionality. Now, after testing the functionality, how things work, we go and test how things look. For example, you see this model on the right, her face is covered with this panel. Let's call it being overlapped by this panel, or you can call it the face of the model is cut off or truncated. It looks weird, it looks strange. Of course, ideally, we want to compare to the design, how it's supposed to look like, right? We want to see how it's supposed to look and how it actually looks like. But if we don't have the design, which is possible in many cases, we just want to use common sense. And according to common sense, something is strange here. It looks strange, it looks weird, and we definitely want to create a bug report about it just to double check. Because maximum, they will close it and tell you, you know what, it's okay, don't worry about it. But I am worried. I think that it's a problem. Another example of a UI issue is, for example, this guy. If I bring the mouse over him or I hover the mouse over here, you see the real man's fashion? Real man's fashion. Once I bring the mouse, the image moves left, hiding the N letter in the word fashion, which is a problem. And that's what we call overlapping. Whenever one element hides another element, it could be a button that hides a button, or a button that hides a text, or a text that hides a button, or okay. So something that hides something, you definitely gonna see that as well in QA. Another example of a UI issue gonna be whenever something is misaligned, like those check boxes over here on the left. When I choose them, select them, you see that they are not aligned. They look weird, strange, not organized. Same goes for those fields on the right. You see, this field is not aligned to this field. Make sense? This field is misaligned to this, to this, to that. It looks weird, it looks strange, not organized. Something that we definitely going to report in QA. Another example, those models. You see, when I bring the mouse to this model page, it basically changes to cover to blue here as well. But when we go to the third one, it changes the image to a different one, which is a problem because it's inconsistent behavior. Whenever we see inconsistent behavior, we want to report it. Make sense? That's the job. Using your common sense, finding issues, and reporting those issues. Now, I really want to show you. I really want to show you a page where we actually. Let me just find it really quick. Okay. Let's see. Let me just go and find what we want to show you. Okay, got it. It's here. Awesome. So I'm gonna share my screen with you. Boom. Beautiful. So guys, an example, just 1 second. An example, no, let me just 1 second, guys. Wow, that's funny. Okay, no worries. I will show you. Okay, so let's go to here, right? So the shop now button is not working. Okay, that's the problem. And we want to report it, right? So how we do it? So we copied this, link, and we go to Jira, the most popular bug system in the world, and we just go here. By the way, most companies are using Jira, and those that are not using Jira, they're using something very similar to Jira. So once you know Jira, you will be able to handle any other bug tracking system software. So in Jira, you just need to know this simple button called Create. Once you click it, it opens the form that we call bug report. How we're going to fill it? So first of all, demo is the project because we practice. Issue type is bug report because that's what we do. We write bug reports. The problem is that the shop now button is not working. Okay, so we're going to call it, for example, shop now button is not working. We can say that it's on the main page, for example. And if you want to be more specific, we're going to call it the shop tools. Okay, so main page of shop tools. Shop now button is not working. Okay, something very straightforward, simple, and then we're going to have basically the title should be short and informative. It should show everyone what and where is the problem. Then we're going to have the description with steps to reproduce, which is basically it's going to be like steps. 1, go to this link, right? Step 2, observe the shop now button. Actual and expected behavior. Actual button is not working. Expected button should be working and redirecting user to shopping page. Okay, very straightforward. You don't need a PhD in English literature to write it down. Very simple. Okay, steps to reproduce actual and expected behavior. That's what we want to show. Then we're going to have the priority, how important the problem to the business. Of course, It could be low, lowest, medium, high, highest. We're going to teach you how to prioritize that. Different companies going to have different approach. Some companies will care about how things look. Some companies will not care about how things look. They will care only about how things work. So you will catch that very soon. I'm going to call it a high priority issue because, a button is not working on the main page. What? It's not allowing you to get to the, shop now button, to the shop now page to buy something. What? It's a problem. It's a big problem. So I'm going to call it a high priority issue. Even, you know what? I'm going to call it highest priority issue because it can harm the company. Environment, it's basically where it was reproducible. I will just give you an example of different environments. So it could be on your MacBook with the browser name, the browser version, the Mac version, your Windows machine with the version of the device, of the browser. If it was on your phone, it could be Android or iOS. So we want to know the Android version. If it was a mobile app, it could be a build number. If it was just a website, it could be a browser also on mobile phone. We use browsers on the phone as well, right? So it depends where you found the issue. You don't need to put all of them. It's just an example of how we write the environment here. Then we also want to create a screenshot of the problem. So on MacBook, you don't need to do it right now. I just want to show you. You click Command-Shift-4 and you can choose the area that you want to screenshot. And once you select it, you leave the mouse. It's going to save the image on your desktop. And now you can add it to your bug report. Those of you that don't have Mac or they don't have MacBooks, it's fine. You don't need it. On Windows, you can just go to Start, Search, Snipping Tool, and you will be able to do exactly the same. If you don't know how to do it now, it's okay. In 5 minutes, you're going to learn it. Very simple. If you're not going to figure it out, we're going to show you during the lessons. It's not complicated at all. So once you create the screenshot, you can add it here in the attachments. You just click the browse button, choose the file, and it's going to be attached to the bug report. Later, we have the assignee who's going to take care of the problem. You're usually going to work with 1, 2, 3 different developers. One going to take care of mobile, one going to take care of web, one going to take care of backend sometimes. So basically, after a few days, few weeks, you will know who's going to take care of what, and you will assign it to the relevant person. I will just choose my name here today, just for example. Okay. So long story short, project name, issue type, which is bug report, title, which should be short and informative and should show everyone what and where is the problem. Then we're going to have description with steps to reproduce, actual and expected behavior, priority, environment, where it was reproducible, attachments with the screenshots, sometimes video recordings. During the lessons, we're also going to talk about how to create the log file and what it's for. In some companies, you will need it as well. And finally, of course, assignee. Then we just click the create button and boom, we just created our first bug report. How it looks like this. This is the title, this is the description, the environment, the assignee, the report. You can leave a comment. If you want to add more attachments, you can. If you want to share this, you can just copy this link and send to someone, for example, the developer. Okay? Was that complicated? Was that sophisticated? Was that something that requires a computer science degree or 5 years of learning computer science or programming languages? Well, I don't think so. I think it's very simple. I think it's very straightforward. And I think that everyone here, and I mean it, everyone here can do this job. Welcome to our world. That's what is being paid, 65 to 100K, 33 to $50 per hour for the past 20 years. Okay? And That's what you guys going to be doing at work. Well, in different companies, you're going to do maybe different things, but overall, this is what you're going to be doing: testing the functionality and testing the UI, how things work, how things look, sometimes how things feel as well. We're going to talk about it more in details during the lessons. So the plan of the program is 7 weeks lessons. The lesson schedule going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time. If you cannot watch it live, it's okay. You can always watch the video recordings anytime that works best for you. After the 7 weeks of the lessons, you will be able to join the remote internship. Of course, if you finish the lessons, you'll be able to join the remote internship for 3.5 weeks. Actually, it's 3.5 weeks plus, because you can be part of the internship until you get the job during your job search. So it could be during the 2, 3, 4 month job search, sometimes less, sometimes more. Depends on how you follow the instructions. You start with internal project with us, where we prepare you for the real project with our partner, which is a real company. We have different companies that come, that go, that have different projects with us. So definitely you will have a real experience, real in-hand experience testing a real product from a real company. So as I said, those 3.5 weeks actually can turn to longer. You can be part of the internship during the job search. Do you really need to be more than 3.5 weeks at the internship? Well, I don't think so. I think that you will learn everything you need during those 3.5 weeks, but we recommend to remain part of it during the job search as well, to have and show more experience, because it will definitely look better like 1, 2, 3, 4 months than just 3.5 weeks. And that's something that we recommend, to remain part of the internship until you get the job. After the internship, you will start the mentorship with a personal mentor that will work with you one-on-one. So basically, after the 3.5 weeks, you will start the mentorship. The mentor will work with you to make sure that you follow instructions, that you sound good, that you prepared well. If not, it's okay. The mentor will help you to sound better and to polish your interview skills and answers during the interview. And the mentor will be with you until the victory. But officially, the mentorship part until you start the job search is around 4 weeks. For some people more, so for some people a little bit less. Usually it really depends on your confidence, your English, and you following the instructions. The mentor will be with you until you get the job. But this stage that's gonna prepare you to start a job search, we're gonna just call it mentorship for those weeks. But actually the mentor gonna be with you much longer until you get the job. After the mentorship, you will start your job search, which is going to be around 2 to 4 months. Okay, and during the mentorship, of course, you're going to have the help with the preparation for the interviews, for the job interviews. The schedule of the internship is very flexible. So if you cannot do it in the morning, you can do it in the lunchtime. If you cannot do it in the lunchtime, you can do it in the evening. If you cannot do it in the evening, you, in most cases, can do it during the weekends. So it's very, very flexible. And yes, most of our clients, they have families, they have jobs. So you can definitely combine it with your work and with any other duties. The mentorship as well, it's something that's going to be for some people twice a week, for some people more, for some people less, but overall it will be around maybe 2 hours per session or 1 hour per session, depends on Depends on you guys, depends on what the mentor will tell you. So it's not going to be like those this scheduled time is only for the lessons part. Regarding the internship, the mentorship, it's going to be very much flexible. So let's talk about the curriculum, what we're going to teach you. So you're going to learn the theory, the terminology, testing web application, testing mobile application, preparing for the interview, preparing for the job, using Jira to write bug reports, using TestRail to write test cases, mobile and web testing, compatibility testing, testing different platforms and devices like iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac, functional UI testing, black box testing, API testing, Postman, Charles Proxy, SQL, Unix and ADB commands, Xcode and Android Studio, Chrome DevTool, browser stack. So guys, we will teach you what you need and we will not teach you what you don't. We are here to save your time and effort, so we will focus you on what you really need. And by saying that, we mean that we will teach you what you need to get, do, and keep the job. We know very well what the companies are looking for, and we're going to make sure that you're going to get it. If you don't see something here that you were thinking about, it means that you don't need it in manual QA. Okay? So we know exactly what set of tools and keywords you will need in your resume and LinkedIn, and what tools you need to be familiar with, what tools you need to know well, what tools you just need to be familiar with to get the job, do the job, and keep the job. That's how the timeline of the course looks like. 7 weeks of the lessons, 3.5 weeks of the internship, that could be longer until you get the job. And after the internship, you're going to have the mentorship for 4 to 6 weeks. Sometimes some people are going to need more, some people are going to need less. And then you start the job search for 2 to 4 months. And it's totally normal. If the first month nobody's going to call you, it's fine. We're going to teach you and explain you how and what to do in order to get it. And it's totally normal that the first month is going to be quiet. It's okay. It's part of the game. Some people getting calls from the first day, from the first week. Some people get the calls after 1 month, which is also okay. Because we told you, job search usually is 2 to 4 months. We're also going to help you with the job application service, which is going to save your time and effort if you decide to use it. It's part of the service. You don't need to pay any extra. And it basically allows you to gather the relevant positions in one place and to save your time and effort while applying for jobs. So let's talk about the salaries. We have different options. We have the upfront option where you pay $4,200 and you get the manual QA program with the lessons, with the internship, with the mentorship, with the instructions and support during the job search. Whatever we discussed today, you can get for $4,200 upfront. If you cannot pay upfront, you have the option to choose the manual QA credit option, where you just pay payments, $232 per month for 20 months as example, because we cannot tell you the exact numbers. It depends on your credit score, but overall, that's pretty much the numbers. If it's going to be $232 per month for 20 payments, the total tuition fee going to be around $4,640. So, of course, the best deal is to choose the upfront. But in case that you cannot, it's okay. You have this awesome option of the credit as well. In case that you want to get our bundle, which means both manual QA plus QA automation, it's going to be $6,900. And it means that you're going to get the manual QA. And then after you get the job, you can come and join our QA automation program. You want to join QA automation program before, you can do it after 4 months of active job search. But personally, I think it's going to be the biggest mistake that you're going to make. That's why I recommend you to listen to my recommendation and explore QA automation after you get the manual QA job, not before. Okay? Awesome. So that's regarding our different options. And by the way, if you will not be able to see the credit option whenever you choose your contract, and you will not be able to see the credit option, it's fine. You just need to email advisors@careers.com, and they would love to help you with more information regarding the credit option in case that it works best for you. So let me tell you also about our guarantee. Because Careerist is fully committed to your success, we now offer a 100% money back guarantee if you don't land the job in tech within 1 year of graduation. Refund eligibility requirements include, but not limited to, completing all training modules on time, submitting all project and assignments by the deadlines, and following our job search instructions. Full details available at our website, careers.com, but I wanted to mention that as well. So guys, please reserve your seats. I hope that you can see the Your Contract button below, and I hope that you already clicked it in case you still didn't join the program. The fun part starts here. Please let me introduce you our instructor for today, Brandon Coley. Brandon, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing very good. Good to be here.
The class is all yours. I just want to remind everyone that any lesson-related questions, you definitely can ask Brandon in the chat. Maybe some questions about his path, you also can ask in the chat. But course-related, program-related questions, let's keep to the end. I promise to join at the end and answer all of your questions together with Brandon. All right? Awesome. So the class is all yours.
Sounds good. Perfect. Thank you very much. And yeah, just to reiterate what Max was saying, I do know that there have been several questions that are already in our sort of queue at the end to be able to talk about. So if we didn't answer your question already in the chat or during the first part of the presentation, don't worry, we are keeping track of that, and we will make sure we take care of that at the end. So real quick, 30-second pitch about who I am. Why is this handsome bald guy on your screen? I am a graduate of the Careerist program. I am also one of the instructors here at Careerist, and I wanted to be able to come back and talk to people about what is this career path? Why is this such a great opportunity? I'm very happy that I took this course, and now I'm working in the field for several years now. So I hope that I can bring some real world experience to the program. I'm sure I'll see you again in one of the later lessons. But what I do, I live and work in the Los Angeles area. I am a software QA engineer level 2 at a fitness company. Some of you have maybe heard of Beachbody. And so I work with the video team. In addition to testing a variety of devices, I am also primarily in charge of running the QA process on our video processing. So video encoding, video encrypting, and doing a whole bunch of content checks. Now, content checks are very similar to what we just saw Max testing out. Going through a website or going through an app, making sure that everything has loaded, it is available to consumers or clients, and that user experience is the best that it can be. So yes, you will be working with multiple devices. Yes, you will be told what it is that you are supposed to be checking. And yes, it is pretty much as easy as it sounds like it is. So I do want to talk about what QA is, and then we'll get into some different testing styles and a little bit more knowledge about the industry. So I will try to check in after every kind of slide or every other slide. If you have questions about what I just discussed, I'll try to roll it back, talk about that real quick. Otherwise, we're here to learn some things, and that's what I hope we can do. I do see a couple of people, just real side note here. I do see a couple of people talking about the financial offers. I am not going to be the person that can answer those. So at the end of this, we can go back to that slide again and cover that. But I won't be able to give you any immediate answers. So please don't think that I'm holding off on you. I don't have them. So right off the bat here, let's talk again about, what is software quality assurance? And even higher than that, let's talk about what is quality assurance in general, because this is sort of a blanket term. This is an umbrella term discussing a process where we assure the quality of a product that a company is building. Now, if you're not in the tech space already, I think the easiest example of this is going to be like a car manufacturing facility. Think of like where Teslas get built, right? There is a need to build a car. There will be analysts and designers who are going to make a plan for what that car is supposed to look like and how it's supposed to function. They make these designs with the plans. They list out the materials, the measurements, so on and so forth. Then they hand those designs over to engineers, and engineers are going to be building that car. Now, of course, we don't just let them build that car start to finish, slap it off the construction line and say, great, it's good to go. No, of course, there's going to be hundreds of checkpoints along the way where people and machines, honestly, are going to be coming in and checking the construction is correct. The seats have been installed correctly. The touch panels work. The electrical chassis have been installed. Are there tires on it? All of these system checks to make sure that the end product matches up what the design requirements say that it should be, and that the end product works the way that it is supposed to. That's basically QA. That's quality assurance. We want to make sure that that end product meets the specifications and the requirements that say it's supposed to, right? So that's QA in a nutshell. But if you want to apply this to software development and software quality assurance, anytime a company wants to add a new functionality, something topical, I suppose. Let's say a company wants to implement an AI chat function, right? All this hype about Chat GPT, and they're like, let's add an AI component to a chat box that we're going to include on the website. So designers will create documented outlines for the requirements or the acceptance criteria. You'll probably hear me say the phrase AC a couple of times this evening, and that's what we're referring to, acceptance criteria. Those documents are going to be sent to engineers who are going to code and develop that chat box and make sure that all of the AI components are plugged in correctly. And then many times before that actually gets rolled out onto the website, it needs to be tested. And that's where we come in. That's where QA engineers come in. So we want to make sure that it is meeting the requirements and it functions the way that the designs say that it should, as we just talked about, right? If we find that something does not line up, we will be creating a bug report. And Max showed you how to create a bug report in Jira. That is the #1 bug reporting software in the world. I'm very sure that you will be using that at whatever company that you end up at after this program. So if something does not work or it doesn't align with those ACs, we're going to document it. We'll be writing a bug report. Our job is to identify all of these sort of critical problems and issues before the product gets launched into what we would consider a production environment, which is where clients and customers download it and access it and use it. We will tell the developers what is wrong, what is broken, what is not working, and then it is their job to fix it. And that's a very important highlight there. We don't fix things. So people inevitably ask, what coding language do I need to learn? Do I need to learn JavaScript? Do I need to learn Python? No, because we don't touch code. That's not a part of our job. Okay. This is a preventative process. It is largely functional. It is us using, our own intuition, our own skill sets. We're on the front end of things. We don't need to know about the code on the back end. This is a preventative process. Absolutely. So we're going through the designs, we're going through development, we're going through testing up until it gets deployed, or that release deployment. That's when it goes out to customers. And then we're also still involved in the maintenance phase. So if we hear back from people, hey, I'm trying to type stuff into this chat box, it's not responding. We're going to have to be part of that team that checks that. I will tell you that it's nearly impossible to create an error-free software, no matter how big the company is, no matter how much money they throw at it. Think about this, like I'm sure you all have an app on your phone or a website that you go to that has something that has a bug on it. Like you've identified these things in your life, right? That's just sort of par for the course. We expect that companies are going to miss things during development. You have to think about, especially like think about the FANG companies. So like, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, they have thousands of people that are dedicated to this job that you're learning about tonight, about QA. And things still break. It's okay. We do want to try to make this as bug-free as possible. So an effective QA process does minimize the number of bugs to an acceptable level before we go out to the market with it. Good stuff. I'm assuming no questions about that. So let's just move into what is software testing. This is the what, and then we'll talk about the how a little bit more in depth. And again, to that point, Max did show you a functional check, a UI checks, a user interface check. That is a very real component of what we do on a daily basis. That's actually what I spent a lot of my day today doing. So let's talk about what is software testing. This is a functional part of quality assurance that determines if the end result is what was expected. And again, that word functional, right? That means that we're doing these checks that they're not very technical. You could be not particularly tech savvy and be able to do this job. So when we want to determine if the end result is what is expected, what does that mean? Basically, if the requirements say that there should be a green button on the homepage that brings you to the shopping section, we want to make sure the button's there. We want to make sure it's green. We want to make sure that if you click it, it brings you to the right section, right? If you're supposed to be able to download a PDF from this page, we want to make sure that it is listed correctly, that you have the right icon, the right words are underneath it. If you click it, it does download, right? So on and so forth. That's how we check if the end result is what was expected. These predetermined sets of requirements that we're checking against, someone had asked in the chat, I'll find the question afterwards, but it was effectively like, are we told what we are supposed to be checking? And for the most part, yes. There is going to be a long list of requirements. There will be things called test cases, and these are going to be handed to us, delivered to us, and we say, all right, check these things. Just go down this list one at a time and just check, pass, fail, yes, no. Does this work? Does this not work? So that a lot of that is already predetermined, and it is given to you as you are going to test it. So again, if we find a bug, if we find a problem, if we find a defect, then we report these things using a bug report. There are a whole bunch of methods and techniques that are used to test a product. We'll talk about a few of them tonight. You don't need to know all of them because there's a ton of them, but we have various ways to test, identify, and report issues, and then check after the fact if they've been fixed, right? So we will report an issue, an engineer will take on that bug, that issue, and they will try to implement a fix for it in the code. And then they hand it back to us and they say, okay, Joseph, okay, Mike, this is good to test again. We check it, see if it passes or fails. This sort of testing, this round of testing, this provides the stakeholders the possibility to see if the developed product meets their expectations. So there are two groups of people that we advocate for. One of them is the business, and specifically the stakeholders. Stakeholders are the people that have a vested interest in bringing this product to market. The stakeholders are the people that say, I want this thing built. This is what I would like it to do. Now, I have a team that's going to design and build this thing, right? So us providing feedback through the testing and making sure that the QA process is thorough, we're providing the stakeholders with an opportunity to see, hey, is this product that's being built meeting our expectations? So that's going to be the first group that we advocate for. The second group that we advocate for is we're playing the role of an end user. Okay, so these are the second group of people that we're advocating for, the clients, the customers, the end users. And in manual testing, we are going to be sort of playing the role of an end user to check the quality of the software and make sure that all of the features, all of the components, all of the things that we know are supposed to work, that they're working correctly. Now, this might sound complicated. I promise you it's not. So don't overthink all of the information out there. This program that you're learning about, and you may have already enrolled in tonight, is a very structured, compact way of getting all of the information that you need, and it cuts out a lot of the fluff. There's a lot of stuff out there that, quite frankly, you don't need to use, and this is just going to trim the fat, make sure that you just get to the meat of it, right? So when we talk about playing the role of an end users are not very technical. I would venture that most of the people that are going to use your app or use your website, they don't have computer science degrees. They don't know how to code. They're not looking at the back end. They're not very tech savvy. Think about Think about explaining to your mom or dad or your grandparents how to use an app on your phone, right? They're not very technical, but we hope that a product is still accessible to them. So to that point, a lot of our checks are manual. They're like what that other person would do. So try not to think overly technically when you're doing your testing. Just approach it like an end user. So you'll just become more well-rounded about your knowledge of the app or the website if you use it like a user. Don't think about it like, oh, what's the code? So to that point, we as testers, we're going to be designing test scenarios, or we're going to be given test scenarios. I would say when you first start out, you will probably be handed more of them, but then as you gain knowledge about the product, you will design test scenarios, and you're just going to execute them one by one, like we talked about. Just come down a checklist and verify the results. And again, any difference between the actual and desired results, those are bugs. Those are defects. I want to repeat myself here. So this bug report is being created by us, the testers, and then sent to the developer that fixes them. We do not fix things, okay? I think almost every time someone asks what language we need to know for code, I still promise you, you don't need to know how to code. Once they issue a fix, they will create a new version of the application or the website. We will then retest that to make sure that the defects have been fixed, okay? This continues on until the product is released. And then I did briefly mention that we also participate in the maintenance stage. So after a product is out there, people are using it, we might be getting customer feedback that something is broken. A very real example from my job just this week, we were finding that the Chromecast experience was not working very well with our app. And so we verified that, said, yep, these reports of the Chromecast not working, these are valid. Let's find a way to fix this. So the engineers make new, they make new code. They write new code, they push it out, and then we test it again. So that's pretty much how it goes. Are there any questions about the last two slides that we went through real quick before we move on? Okay. Gerd says, yes, you have a question. Well, go ahead and write that question. Let's see what you have. Or you had a question. Okay. We certainly could touch on that at the end, but your question was, what test case management tool will we learn to use? Is it Qmetry? No, we're probably going to be showing you TestRail. TestRail is the most commonly used one, but your company might also even just use something as fundamental as like Google Docs. That is certainly possible, especially if it's a smaller, more lean company. But TestRail is the most commonly used one. So that's what we'll be discussing here. I will hit these three rapid fire test rail. So test like test, and then rail like railroad. I'll hit these three quick questions and then we'll move on. Is there ever a day where nothing is wrong with the website? That is certainly possible. It's not likely, but it is certainly possible. I think that if your company is always adding new things, you might not run into this scenario. Can a QA tester that knows how to code be allowed to fix certain bugs? No, that is outside the scope of your job description, and you don't do that. How many QA testers are on a typical team, or is it a solo job description? Well, very rarely is it solo, but the answer to how many people on a team, that entirely depends on the size of the company. If your company is 100 people, maybe there's 10. If your company is 5,000 people, probably more than 10. So the short answer is it depends on the company that you're at, right? So yeah, good solid questions. Glad we touched on those. I did see a couple of questions in the chat. These were a little bit earlier on, but people were saying, how do I get my contract? How do I sign up for the course? Some of you already are enrolled. And if you are, congratulations. Welcome to lesson 1. I remember being excited for my first lesson. And if you have not yet enrolled, this is a great opportunity. In the lower left corner of your screen, you want to click that get button on your contract. This does not sign over your firstborn child, nor does it mean that you have to give me one of your limbs, right? This is just showing an intent of interest for the program, and it allows one of our advisors to reach out to you and give you some more information and make sure that you can get enrolled in a timely fashion. Also, if you have any financial questions, they are the people that can answer those as well. Okay. So let's touch on automation real quick. I'm assuming that some of you have heard of test automation or QA automation. If you have, this might be a review, but if you haven't, this is a good place to touch on this. So testing automation is a testing technique that involves executing test cases using automated software tools. Okay, so there are some variations of this, but effectively, automation testers can take manual test cases, things that we might execute manually, functionally, one thing at a time, and they can turn those into scripts using code. So they will identify which test cases can be automated, and then they're responsible for building those scripts, maintaining and monitoring those scripts. So these are the people where there's coding involved. And this is the path that Max was talking about, QA automation. It is much more involved. It is much more detailed. If we want to make the equation or the equivalency of manual QA is like going to high school, like everybody can go to high school. QA automation is more like getting a master's degree. It is advanced study. It is not for everyone, quite honestly. Some of the benefits of automation, though, you'll be able to run repetitive tests multiple times a day. And by multiple times a day, we mean tens of thousands of times, maybe even in an hour. These faster test cycles will be able to do other things that me as a human with only 10 fingers, quite frankly, can't do. And it will also eliminate that human inaccuracy that I might bring to the table. Let's say your company's launching a new app and they're expecting 10,000 people to log on in the first hour, create a new account, and put in payment information. We want to know, can the application handle that? I can't do that. I can't log in 10,000 times. I will die, and I will very likely make some typos. So that's where automation can come in, and they can test that load. That load testing is really what that would be. So these are some advantages to QA automation. Some potential disadvantages would be that it does require specialized equipment. Like, you are going to need to know Selenium. You are going to need to use these other platforms to run the scripts. You're going to need to have some sort of technical background or technical education. You will need coding skills in order to use automation in a QA process. Okay. That doesn't mean that it's better. They are just different. These are different techniques to approach a comprehensive testing protocol for a company. Okay. It is possible for a company to only have manual QA people, and that's fine. Very likely you'll have a mix. You'll have some manual testers and some automation testers, because they approach testing the product with different skill sets, with different objectives in mind. Manual testing is faster in the sense that it has the human element, not faster in the sense of like, how many times can I test this thing per second or per minute, but faster in the effect of like a client says, hey, I'm trying to play videos on your app and it's not working. So I'm going to go in there very quickly and literally check it. There's no place for automation in that environment, right? So there will always be a need for what we do. I do, again, just want to touch that one more time. Automation versus manual, one is not better than the other. One can be more difficult to learn. One does get paid a little bit more, but they're both growth markets. They're both very essential to the success of a company, especially if they have a lot of e-commerce or a lot of digital facing products. And, when people think that one is better than the other, I just want to squash that real quick. I don't think that there's a chance you would ever join a team and it's only automation QAs. If you did, I think they probably missed the point of QA people, right? But these effectively would be the differences between the two. In this course, we focus on manual testing. We're not going to be getting into automation. Don't need to learn how to code, so on and so forth. So I have mentioned that there are many different subtypes of testing. And in fact, I mean, there's got to be over 50 of them, right? But manual QA, what we are going to be doing, we're going to focus primarily on just a few of them. These are going to be sort of the meat and potatoes of what you do in your work. Now, someone also earlier in the chat had asked, like, people have been doing this for like 20 years and making really good money in technology. Short answer, yes. It exists. It's a relatively under the radar industry still. I think more people are learning about it as the world moves towards opening up more tech jobs, and tech is just more normalized as opposed to sort of aspirational. So software QA is still relatively new in the space of the world, right? But you're thinking back in the late 70s, early 80s, when you had newer burgeoning tech companies like IBM, Xerox, Apple was just coming out. They were all making individual personal computers, and they would have teams that would test just their product, but it was very siloed, right? Like Apple people did Apple stuff. IBM people did IBM stuff. As the tech field grew and their products became more widespread, you started to have people jumping teams, this sort of merging of abilities, applications, programs, things like that. And so there became this need for standardization. And so again, all of the Apple people were like, well, I know how to do this. And all the Xerox people were like, well, we do it this way. So there had to be this standardization, like many other processes in the world. You don't need to know all of them. In fact, you don't need to know most of them, but it is good to know several so that when you're interviewing, you can speak to these, and then also you know what to apply in different scenarios at your job. Let's talk about black box, white box, and gray box testing. These are three terms that are going to be defining how deep into the application you need to look and you need to know while you're testing. Spoiler alert, we live on the left side of your screen, okay? We do black box testing. We do functional testing. That's our house. That's where we live. So in black box testing, this is when we examine the functionality of an application without having access to the source code. So again, to the reference about, if I know how to code, can I fix things? No, that's just outside of the scope of what you do. It will probably help you in some capacity because you'll understand things and you might be able to push more into gray box testing. But for people in this class, for what we do in this program, it's a black box approach, okay? Now, on the other side of the coin, we have white box testing, which should not surprise you that it's the opposite. In white box testing, the QA would be able to design additional tests that are based on an understanding and an analysis of the source code. Again, I don't expect anybody here to do that, and neither will your employer. Gray box is sort of this middle ground, and it can be a wider field. It's not linear, like it's either A, B, or C. Gray box is a little gray. So it combines the two of them, and you'd be looking for defects not only functionally on the front end, but maybe there's an incorrect software architecture, and you might have the knowledge and the ability to identify those things. But if that sounds a little daunting and you think, I don't know what the heck he's talking about, that's fine. Because again, when you get into your job, that's not going to be required of you. That's not going to be asked of you. We do functional, we do black box testing. To this, I've mentioned functional testing several times, and I would like to try to differentiate between functional testing and non-functional testing. We'll try to take a whack at this in a couple different ways to make sure it makes sense. Functional testing, okay, this is testing what a software does based on specifications. So it verifies how compliant it is with specific functional requirements, okay? Put another way, functional testing will confirm that something is doing the right things. Like these are quantifiable, measurable items that you're just checking things off of a list. Now, non-functional testing, other side of your screen here, testing a software application for its non-functional requirements. So this is going to be more subjective and less objective. It is going to be how well the software functions instead of specific behaviors. Okay. So if functional testing is making sure that something does the right things, non-functional testing is checking that it's doing it the right way, or it's doing it like the best way. We do the functional testing. So if we want to say, let's try to put it like this. Non-functional checks are for properties that impact the end user experience, but they're not strictly needed for functionality. The functional tests are like a set of specifications, so measurable things, okay? And by measurable, I mean like pass or fail measurable. Like is this button present? Yes, no. I'm not talking like you have to measure the button and you have to measure the sales column. It's not like that. It is like, does this exist? Yes, no. When I click it, does it do what it's supposed to do? Yes, no. These are functional tests. Things like performance testing, reliability testing, load testing. These are non-functional tests, and they're outside of the scope of what we will typically do. If we were to use Google search, I think this is maybe a pretty easy way to think about this. Like if you go to Google, you go to the search box and you click search. Non-functional testing would include things like, can I write in the search box? When I click search, do I get a list of results, right? These are very like functional tests. The non-functional testing would be like testing the speed of the results if you search 50 to 100 times. How fast does this search engine drain your battery on your device? These are non-functional tests, okay? I'm hoping that gives you some reference and it gives you some context. Do we understand the difference between functional and non-functional testing? Let me get hopefully mostly yeses in the chat. Francisco, that's what I like to hear. Cool. All right, that landed. I did my job. Good. I just want to make sure that makes sense, because it can, if you're not using these terms regularly, it can be a little confusing. Totally get it. So let's talk about most common testing types. And then I know that there's a ton of questions. We will get to these very shortly, but let's get through one more slide here, and then we can talk about all of the questions that you have. So common testing types in manual QA. Again, there's a whole laundry list of them. I'd like you to think about these three for right now. There's no test at the end of this. I'm not going to quiz you on it, but try to remember these to the best of your ability, and I'll try to make this very easy to reference. Exploratory testing is the first one. This is software testing that focuses on discovery. It focuses on learning and investigation, right? So it's you learning about a product, and it's going to rely on your creativity, your past experiences, and your own intuition to quickly uncover defects. So this is also described sometimes as simultaneous test design and execution. And if that feels a little technical to you, basically exploratory testing is, here's an application. I have not given you the requirements for how it's supposed to work. I just want you to use it and learn it, right? Which is, to be honest, that's how most of us use applications anyways. That's how most of you are using things on your phone right now. You're doing exploratory testing. So the concept of simultaneous test design and execution means in your head, you're thinking of test cases. You're designing test cases, and then you're executing them as you go through the app. So, great example. You're on the App Store, you download a new app, you cruise right past the end user license agreement because you don't read that you're signing your soul away, and then you start using the app. There's an instruction, there's a tutorial. You skip that. There's little pop-ups that say, hey, this button does this. You're like, bam, no, I know what I'm doing. And then you just start using the app. So you're thinking, well, I think this little icon of a profile, I think that's where I'd put my information. You click it. It is where you put your information, right? That is test design and execution. You've thought of that in your head, and then you tested it. I think this is where I would buy a shirt. You go there. I think this is how I would add that to my cart. So on and so forth. You're designing test cases and then executing them at the same time. So that's exploratory testing. I don't know the technical requirements of this app. I'm just using it and learning how it goes. Smoke testing is going to be the second one here. So this is covering the high level, the most important functionality of a software. And it's going to verify that it appears to be working correctly. And this will come before very in-depth testing takes place. Smoke testing basically is going to make sure that a build or a version of the application has been deployed successfully, and that all of the very important things, all of the very important components are running and working. So why do we call it smoke testing? Very simply put, we all know the expression, where there's smoke, there's fire. If you don't, now you know. But smoke testing is basically making sure that there is no smoke when we use this app. Or realistically, we want to make sure that nothing's on fire with the application. So smoke testing is typically done once you deploy a version of the application to the public, to the production level. So what will happen is you've tested something repeatedly and you say, yep, I think this version works. So let's go deploy it. So you've made the latest Android app or the latest iPhone app, you deploy it. You're going to have a team of QA engineers that are on a call together, and you say, all right, it's deployed. Everybody download the new version right now and start smoke testing. Because you just want to make sure right off the bat, do all of the high level things work? Is this application on fire, basically? And if it's not, then you go into your more in-depth testing. If it is on fire and your smoke testing uncovers major problems, then you pull that thing back, you roll back and you say, nope, just kidding, that version's not ready. I smelled smoke. Let's get out of there. The final thing is going to be regression testing. Now, of the three, regression testing typically takes the longest. That doesn't mean it's the hardest. It just covers the most content, I suppose. So regression testing makes sure that new changes in software do not break any existing functionalities. Okay, this testing verifies that features that used to work still work. So let's think about Instagram. All right, very easy to understand. It started out as a photo app, and we all knew that you could take photos, you could edit photos, you could post photos, you can you can comment on other people's posts, you can use a search function to go find new posts. So all of these things existed. And then they wanted a slice of that sweet, sweet TikTok money. And they said, well, we need a video component to our application now too. So let's make Reels. Okay. So that's a new component to the Instagram application. And you had all of this existing functionality. When you're bringing in the video part of it, this is the new stuff, you would be doing routine checks to make sure that the new stuff doesn't break the old stuff. If it does break the old stuff, that's called a regression bug. And a regression bug is a defect which did not exist in an earlier version of the product. I hope that makes sense. So let's review real quick. Exploratory testing. I don't have technical requirements. I'm just learning how to use it by using it. Smoke testing. Make sure there's no smoke. Make sure there's no fire. Please don't burn my application. Regression testing. Make sure that my new stuff doesn't break my old stuff. If you can remember these concepts, this is going to cover a significant majority of what you will do in a standard week as a QA engineer. Hope that all makes sense. And with that being said, that is all of the content that we want to cover for lesson 1 tonight. So thank you very much for paying attention. Again, there's no quiz here, so don't think I'm going to ask you a word for word replication of what we just did. But hopefully some of these concepts make a little bit more sense to you. You got to see a good demonstration from Max on how we would do some functional UI checks on the front of a website or the front of an application. If we find something broken or wrong, we would write a bug report. We would use something like Jira to report that to an engineer. And then we talked about the various methods that we could use in order to test a product or an application. Okay. So that being said, I think we can get into the questions now, and I will probably call Max back to the stage so we can address all of them because we saved a lot. Let's see what we have. And actually, I'm just going to bring this over onto this screen. I'll take a swing at a couple of these while we're waiting. So Kenya had asked, is junior QA the same as manual tester? Not exactly. We as a manual tester, that doesn't make us a junior employee. That doesn't make us a lower employee. A junior QA is like an entry-level QA position. To that point, I don't think that you should be applying for junior QA positions once you graduate this program. You'll learn more about this as you go through, but junior QA just is like a brand new QA position, right? O'Shea had asked about SQL. I honestly, like, maybe we shouldn't have even talked about it too much. Don't worry about that right now. But that gets into database management. That gets into handling data that a company is using and storing it in a database. How do we access it? You do not need to know anything about that right now. So don't you worry about that. Let's see. Pierce had asked, are certificates important versus a degree? I mean, I'm going to tell you that you don't need a degree to do this job. It is typically important that you have knowledge about how to do it. And a program like this, like with Careerist, is a great place to do that. We, of course, do give you a certificate at the end of the program. I can also promise you that no one's ever going to see that thing. No one's ever going to ask you for it. I mean, if you want to print it out and frame it, you can do that. But yeah, people just don't look at your certifications. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that you can actually do the job, that you have the skill sets to actually do the things that need to get done. And that's what you learn in this program. But again, of course, you will get a certificate at the end of it. Let's see. Andrew, so Andrew, your question is, what's your payment and compensation structure and your business model? I don't know if that refers to me as an employee at my company or me as an instructor here at Careerist. I'll tell you just very, very high level. You're either going to be, as a QA engineer, you're either going to be a W-2 salaried employee, or you'll be a contractor, like a 1099 employee. Either way, you're still working like a 40-hour week. It's still a full-time job. When we talk about contractor positions, that does not mean that you're working 5 hours or 10 hours a week and they only kind of pull you in when they need you. You're still very much a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday employee. It's just going to be different as far as how you get taxed, what your benefits are, so on and so forth, like that. Next question is, how much of my future salary will you take? None. I don't want your future salary. So I will keep my hands off your money. Can a manual tester work remotely? Absolutely. Of course. Fahim, we have probably touched on this already, but the majority of the graduates from this program are working remote, and that's just an industry standard. Most of the people are going to be working remote. I don't know the exact number, but I have to imagine it's probably around 60% of the graduates or something are working remote. And so that's very much going to be a standard. Let's see, how long? Okay, so then Asim, this may have sort of been answered accidentally by my last response, but your question was, how long are contracts in this industry? Can I take on work for a month or 3 months? It will vary slightly, but most contracts are going to be like 6 months to a year. And then there's the option to renew it at the end of it. It kind of just depends on the structure of the company that you're at. They might just need somebody for a project and they'll say, yes, you have a 6-month contract. At the end of it, your employer can review and see if they want to keep you on and renew that contract or convert you to a W-2 employee. But it's not the kind of thing where you would work for a month, right? We are still absolutely gearing you towards a full-time career. Max, hello.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Brendan.
No problem.
We
You
can
want to take
stay
the wheel
together and we're going to answer the questions, right?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Awesome.
I took care of a few already, but there's still plenty of questions here.
Awesome. So let's do it. Is it possible that the salary of QA would be less than 65K? It will not be possible if you will tell those companies to never call you again. I guarantee that. But if you're going to agree, it's definitely possible. I recommend to never accept anything less than 65K for sure. Recommendation, even not to accept less than 70K, but situations are different. If you need the money right here, right now, take the 65 and continue your job search next week asking for 80 or 90 or 100K. We will get the slide of the lecture. Yes, of course. You will get the video recording and the slide. It will appear in your LMS, and you will get the email about it with it tomorrow. Do I need a high school diploma for applying for a job? No, you don't. Sometimes they can write something like that they want you to have a degree or a computer science degree or something else. But the good news are that it is or that or real on hand experience which you're going to have after our internship. Will employer ask to show or explain him exploratory smoke or regression testing? In 99% of the cases, no. Or it's just for our knowledge. It's just for your knowledge because at work, you just do what you're told, and it means that you get a set of steps that you just need to follow in order to, for example, go here, click this, it works, mark as pass. It's not working, must mark as failed, and write a bug report. Then you move to the next test. Okay, it's working, pass. It's working, pass. It's not working, failed. And usually it has detailed steps of what to do, how to do, where to do. Are the remote jobs anytime scheduling or on fixed hours? So the remote jobs are usually during the first period of your job, are the same time that your boss, your manager, your team, your lead is working. That's your hours, which usually is 10 to 6 or 9 to 5. But once you already working there and you are doing your duties and you are finishing your tasks on time, in many cases, your manager will not really care when you're going to come or when you're going to go, as long as you finish your tasks on time. Brandon, you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I mean, you hit everything there. Honestly, yeah, that was it.
Awesome. Just double checking.
No, the man tells the truth.
Do we need work permit if we work remotely? Yes, of course. So yeah, most jobs are remote, and you need work permission or work authorization in the country where you are planning to work. Can QA engineer work independently as consultant? Yes, it's possible, but I recommend to focus on the 8 hours per day jobs, 5 days a week jobs, because that's the jobs that are going to bring you the 70 to 100K. And if you're just going to be as just working as a freelancer, usually you're going to have less hours, and that's not going to be around the numbers that we were mentioning. Of course, once you get a job and you have a lot of free time, and for example, it's boring and you don't do much and you get paid well and you want to do something else, yeah, you can do some freelance here and there. Of course, you need to double check your contract and discuss it with maybe a lawyer. But I definitely know that it's possible to combine sometimes more than one job. I saw that many times in the industry, and it's definitely possible. This sounds almost too good to be true. I cannot afford myself to lose my money if it's not real. Thank you for your question. So that's a great question. And I, of course, have an answer for you to just prove you that we are real, that we're not going to disappear tomorrow. I'm going to share with you some articles about us from ABC News. We are a YC company, Y Combinator. This is the best startup accelerator in the world. You can see us there as well. You can see our article on Biz Journal, and we have a bunch of articles that we post from from us, that you can also read from Forbes, just in case that you want to see who we are and that we are real. Yes, we are real. And I just
I
sent you those links as well.
Yeah, while you're sending links to this, to Shirley directly, I'm a graduate of the program, so I just want to speak from personal experience. Yes, I know that there are places that happens. Like, people do run scams. When I found this, I was looking to change careers from more real estate and property management, very sales dominant things. And I was saying, like, I want a place that's going to teach me the skills that I need to know how to do this. I don't want to be sold a bunch of nonsense I don't need. And that was actually when I first met you, Max. And so this was several years back. Ended up taking this program. The knowledge that came from this course, that was what allowed me to shift and get into this very exciting career. So I promise you, this is how I pay rent. Now I've been doing this for several years. This was exactly like it was promised in the program. Like, you can get a starting salary between 70 to 100,000 a year starting, and it can go up from there. Literally, my first 2 job offers, one of them was 70,000 and the other one was 99,000. So, like, exactly what was being told to me. Several years later, I wouldn't come back as a teacher for this company if it was anything less than fantastic, which it has been for me. Now, my base is over 110. I have excellent benefits, get to work from my living room. And the second reason that I came back as an instructor was to be able to give a voice to people that were thinking, like, well, what happens when I'm done with this program? What happens afterwards? Do I know what I need to know to get a job? Maybe in different words, like what you said, Shirley, like, is this for real? I will absolutely assure you that yes, it is a real opportunity. And this is not, Max and I are not here to sell you a certificate. We're here to give you an opportunity to gain knowledge on how to break into this industry in tech, even if you have no previous tech experience, just like I did. I was, fitness, sales, real estate, didn't know how to code, didn't have, a computer science degree from college. So, like, this is absolutely, you're seeing me for the first time, but I promise you, as a very real person, I've been through this program. I am a product of this program, and I promise you it works for you.
Thank you very much. Will careerists help us with work permit complication? Probably if you meant completion, but or application, but no, we are not helping with any work permits. And you want to talk to immigration lawyer about those stuff. We definitely teach you how to get the job. It doesn't matter where you are. In anywhere in the world, you can get this job. Specifically, focus on the market in US and Canada, especially US. But we have graduates working in other countries as well, getting jobs in other countries as well, just with different salaries, because in other countries they pay less for this job, which could be a good salary, just much less than in US, because it's very expensive in the US. The certificate going to be only for the US? No, the certificate can be for anyone you want. You can bring it to your parents. You can bring it to anyone in any different countries. But most likely that companies are not going to be looking into your certificates too much. They're going to be looking into you. They're going to be looking into your resume, your LinkedIn, making sure that you're confident, that you know what you're talking about, that you answer interview questions. That's what they're going to be looking for. They're going to be looking into your experience that you're going to get from our internship. That's what they're going to be looking for. Of course, you will get the certificate. Of course, we will give it to you once you graduate the program. But just because we are very transparent, we want you to understand that this is not about the certificate. This is about you being prepared to get your maximum possible rate and minimum possible time. Let's see. And guys, please wait with the questions, because I have a list of like 26 questions right now. Just let me answer those, and I promise if you're going to have more, I will answer those. I just know that some questions are going to repeat themselves. So let's see. Liz Brinder, I'm sorry, I was trying to understand about the program options. I didn't understand the question. Please email advisors@careers.com. I didn't understand your question, unfortunately, about the condensed program. Just email advisors@careers.com and try to clarify what exactly you meant. We would love to answer it. Okay? What's the duration of work experience can be put on your resume after the program? Well, if your job search is going to be 2, 3, 4 months, or maybe, I don't know, 4.5, you definitely can put it in your resume. And that's going to be more than enough to get the 65, 70, 80, 90, and 100K in US. How many years could a person work as manual QA engineer without knowing automation? Well, I know people that do it for at least like more than 10 years.
Yeah.
Now, I'm pretty sure that there are people that are doing it for more than 20 years. I'm pretty sure that it sounds weird if you are 20 years in the industry and you didn't try to learn automation, but it's definitely possible. I know a lot of people with more than 10 years of experience without any knowledge of automation. It doesn't mean that you need to follow them. It doesn't mean that you don't want to try automation. Give it a try, learn new tools, basically, I think that you definitely want to develop and get more and grow your career. But again, if you're not into coding, programming, it's okay. You can enjoy software testing for many years, and it's definitely possible to do it for many years, and many people are very happy about that.
Yeah, it's not a requirement. When Max was talking about the career paths that you have, it's not a requirement that you go from manual to automation. Remember, you have QA leadership options, and you certainly could. I know you're saying it's impossible to do the same job for a long time. It's quite frankly not true. But you could just say, I'm very good at this. This is think about the sales representative that doesn't want to become a CEO or a manager, right? Like they like what they're doing and they want to continue doing it. So you absolutely can do that. A good quality of a manual QA engineer, though, is that you are constantly learning. So to Max's point, maybe you don't want to learn how to code, but you do want to learn how to use different tools that can make you a better manual QA, or you want to learn a little bit more about design so that you have a better understanding of why, how the things work that we're checking on the front end, right? So there can be other components of what you're still learning. But I mean, I have people at my company that have been doing manual QA for over 10 years. So it is definitely possible for you. And think about how many companies have an app. How many companies have a website? If they have one of those things, they're going to need manual QA people. So you'll always have an opportunity to do this.
Regarding the lessons, if you can, for some reasons you cannot watch it like right now or tomorrow, it's okay. You can do it in your face, and you can basically do it whenever you're gonna be ready. So don't worry about that too much, okay? Especially if you have reasons why you need to postpone something. Of course, we are here to help you, to support you, to help you get this job. So if you're gonna have a special situation, we're definitely gonna understand it and gonna do our best to help and support you. So, do students have to have a certain minimum age or legal status? Yes. In different states, it's different. You can read more in our on our website about the terms and conditions, terms of service. But overall, it's 18 years old plus. But I think different states, they have like 19 or 18. Just check the laws in your state. We have graduates from 18 to 65 years old that are working. So it's definitely possible. Of course, most companies prefer people from the age of, I don't know, 20 to 35. But who cares about most companies? Because you're still going to have a lot of companies that are going to hire you no matter what, even if you're 40 or 45 or 50 or 55 or 60 or even 65. If you're confident, if you know what you're talking about, if you prepared well, if your resume and LinkedIn looks good, and we're going to make sure that. So I don't see any reason to worry about it at all. It's not about the age, it's more about you. And many companies nowadays, they love diversity. We also love diversity, by the way. And because of that, many companies will hire some people just because they want diversity in the age groups, for example. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. Let's see. With the state of the economy and big tech layoffs happening lately due to the recession, do you think that we will have a major effect on getting a QA position? So first of all, about the state of the economy, I don't know if you listened to the president of the United States recently, but he actually told everyone that our economy right now and the unemployment rate is the unemployment rate is the lowest in the last 50 years. So the economy is doing great. Just to remind you. Regarding the big tech layoffs, yes, it's something that happened recently, and we are definitely, as people working in tech, are affected by that. But I want to remind you that it happened mainly in the big tech companies. Okay, and I just want to remind you that we have a lot of companies, not only big companies or small companies or average companies or tech companies. Sometimes it's even like banks or insurance companies or medical companies or any company that has a product. And we have a lot of products now, and we have a lot of devices, and we have a lot of new technologies and new things that appear: AR, VR, drones, and many, many, many more. Even testing, data and testing even different, basically AI, testing virtual reality, testing a lot of new things that appear pretty much every year. Some new stuff, and basically we're gonna have more and more opportunities. Did it affect the rate that people are getting the job? Well, we saw that people are getting the job a little bit slower recently for the past month. If let's say a month before we had 40 or 50 people getting jobs a month, we saw that, for example, this month it was 20, 25. Okay, so it definitely was affecting us, but eventually, for you individually, I don't think that it should mean much, because yes, whenever you follow the you watch the economy going down, going up, you see the macro situation. But whenever you are an individual that applies for jobs for 2 to 4 months, preparing well for the interview, being confident, sounding good, and being able to tell about your story, about your project, about your team, what you did at work, eventually you will get the job. You just need one job. You don't need 1,000 jobs. You don't need 10,000 jobs. You just need one company that's going to like you, that's going to hire you. So for you individually, I don't think it's going to affect I don't think it's going to affect much on you, like it didn't affect much on our graduates whenever we had COVID, because at that point also many people were worried about the crisis, about losing the jobs. But you know what? We had more graduates getting jobs during COVID than before COVID. Okay, so don't worry about the crisis. Those that worry about the crisis, they usually try to find reasons why not to get the job, or reasons why they will not be able to get the job, or reason to postpone the job search and not start it. Uh, you don't want to be there. You want to be positive. You want to focus on the job search and on getting your job. Once you do that, you will get it. Because right now, the average job search for those that follow our instructions is 2 to 4 months. If you're not going to follow the instructions, it will take you longer. I don't see any reason for you to do it longer than 2 to 4 months. Okay, so that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. It's definitely very relevant, but you should not worry personally to getting the job in 2 to 4 months. By the way, if you're going to see that it's going to change, for example, it's going to become in not 2 to 4 months, it's going to become 2 to 6 months or 2 to 8 months. We're definitely going to update it, but we don't, because right now this is the average. That's what we see: 2, 3, 4 months for those that follow the instructions, they get the job. All right. How am I able to work for careerist? Well, you want to graduate the program, you want to get 100K plus, and you want to work there for a while, and then you want to come back to us and say, hey guys, I want to be like Brandon. I want to motivate people. I want to support our graduates, our careerist family. And then we're definitely going to interview you, and we would love to have you with us. Let's see. If you meant for a QA role, you probably want to find a company that will pay you 100K or 90K or 80K or 70K. Okay? Because I don't think that we're going to pay you so much. Because if we're going to pay you so much, the price of the program going to increase dramatically, and we don't want that to happen. Do we need to stay for the Q&A portion? No, it's not mandatory. It's just, by the way, we usually are doing the lesson for 2 hours, and the reason that we stay now longer is just because lesson number 1, and you have a lot of questions, so we want to answer those. During the next lessons, it's going to be around 2 hours. We don't want to keep you late, especially on the East Coast. So it's not mandatory, of course. It's just for those that want to listen for the answers to the questions. Will we be given notes or expect to take our notes during the class? You don't need to take any notes during the class. You just want to listen carefully, understand, like just listen carefully, and you will see that with every lesson, things are going to become more clear. Until the end of the program, things are going to become clear, and you will get everything you need, what you need to focus, what you need to repeat, what you need to memorize, for example, a few questions here and there, what you need to understand. Okay, so we're definitely gonna give you everything you need to prepare for the interview, for the job. You don't need to take any notes. Of course, if you want, you can, but I just think that better to just focus on the lesson. From your experience, tell me what happens if you do a mistake and test something wrong. How the company reacting to this? Well, from my experience, you can not find everything. From my experience, you will always, you will always have something that people did not notice in your team. The question is how important and high priority it is. So if it's like critical, very high priority issue, well, definitely it's not going to be great, because your job is to catch those things. But again, you will just be told to, please keep an eye on that next time, and try to be a little bit more responsible, or add this test case to your test suite. Maybe you were not testing it before, so definitely we want to add it to our regression test, for example. It really depends, because it really depends on the team, on the manager, on the culture, on the issue, how it affected the company. Brandon, you want maybe?
Yeah. So, I mean, two things I would add is this is a very supportive career environment, industry. It's not the kind of place where you're micromanaged, and it's not punitive. That was the other word I was looking for. People aren't looking for you to make mistakes and then trying to punish you for it. This is if you may have missed something. Remember what I said at the start of this, like, it is impossible to create a completely bug-free app. It just is. It's very complicated. If you find something, or if you don't find something, exactly like Max said, that's probably just going to get added to the number of tests that you do. I've missed some small things where we say, oh, hey, to my manager, after this went out, I noticed this is causing an issue. I think we need to roll it back and test it some more. If nothing else, they'll probably appreciate you being upfront about it, and you just add it to your tool belt for the future. But don't go thinking like, it's not the kind of industry like sales, right, where you need to have a certain number of sales per month, or you need to make a certain amount of money. We're not ranked. Max is not ranked. I am not ranked on how many bugs you found this month. That's not a measure of a good or a bad QA. What won't look so hot, exactly like you said, if you miss something very major and it could bring the whole thing down, that's not a great look. So we want to keep those to a minimum.
Exactly. And of course, if you're going to miss something high priority, next time you're going to pay more attention and test more.
You'll feel bad enough where you're like, I'm not missing that twice.
Yeah. Did I miss any major bugs? Yes, it happened to me. I must tell you. Did I learn from that? Yes, of course. And I became more detail oriented and more focused. So yeah, it could happen, but try to avoid high priority issues, missing high priority issues. How much money did you make on your first job after graduating from careerist? Did you answer that before?
That's me. I think I touched on it quickly, but yes, after leaving, I was given two offers. One of them was 70 and one of them was 99,000. I ended up taking the 70,000 because I wanted to work remotely. The higher paying one involved me driving through LA traffic to West Hollywood and actually testing things outside all day. It was testing robots. So I ended up taking the 70,000, but it very quickly played into a much higher salary. So as it stands now, it's over 110 just as a base. That doesn't include benefits or bonuses or anything like that.
Wow. Now we know that there are robots across LA.
There are robots in LA. Watch out. They're going to take over one day.
Whoa. So regarding that, are there any AI manual QA jobs? Definitely, because we pretty much test everything, right? It could be software, it could be hardware, it could be AI, it could be machine learning, it could be basically anything that should be tested, or companies want to make sure that it works well, it looks well, it feels well, then they need us to test it. Is it likely for QA automation to have a smoother workload since it's automated? Smoother workload. Smoother workloads.
I think that might be a small misunderstanding of the word automation, what it's doing. It's not making your job automated. It's specific tasks, specific tests that you're trying to run. The automation is, can I type this in 40,000 times in a minute, or can I use code to do it? That's what the automation is. I think that's what they're getting at.
Basically, you cannot automate everything. You can automate certain things, and it really depends on how stable your application is. Because if it's constantly changing, it doesn't make sense to automate it. Okay, because then you're gonna need to change the code all the time, and it's gonna be super expensive, and it's gonna be much more. It will make sense for the company to hire manual QA to change to test something that changes all the time. Okay, but if it's very stable and it's something that repeats itself all the time or for a long time, then it makes sense to use automation. So just in a nutshell, I wanted to explain when we use automation in testing. So, by the way, in manual QA, we don't use any automation, okay? So forget about automation. Don't think about programming or coding. In manual QA, you don't need it. What level would be able to apply for after the program? 65 to 100K. Software QA engineer, QA analyst, QA tester, and another 25 different titles that sound similar. So for QA automation, you have to know how to code. This is correct. Is it true that after we land the job, that's when we can start paying for the tuition back? The options about the payment options we showed you before. If you have questions about it, you can email advisors@careers.com. I can bring this slide back one more time. Maybe it will help you to better understand. Is the credit option available for everyone, or there barrier for entry? Well, please email advisors@careers.com about that. I believe that it's possible for everyone, but maybe you're in certain blacklist and you had some credit problems before, and it could be a blocker. I'm not aware of it. Please double check with advisors@careers.com. I'm pretty sure that it's very flexible and everyone can apply and get it. Is Jira tool to report the bugs? Yes, this is the most popular bug tracking system in the world. What time of the day is the internship? Well, pretty much any time, because it's flexible. It can be in the morning, it could be in the evening, it could be during lunchtime, it could be during weekends. So it's flexible, and you can choose the time that works best for you. What else? Let's see. Do you have... it is a boot camp. The question was, do you have a boot camp? So this is the boot camp. And guys, again, if you have personal questions, email advisors@careers.com. We would love to answer it. I just see sometimes questions that are very personal and not relevant for everyone. I have no previous experience in QA. Great, you're in the right place. Because most people here, I think 99% of the people here have zero experience in QA, like we did. We had zero experience in QA before we entered this industry. So you're in the right place. What can I do now to better prepare myself for the lessons? Just relax, join the lessons, and just listen carefully. And you will see with every lesson, things are going to become more clear. Till the end of the program, everything will become much more clear. And if not, the mentor will come and make sure that it will become much more clear to you. All right. When are you going to show how to use Jira and where to download it? You don't need to download any Jira because it's a link, a web link that you can use without even downloading it. So that's great news. And second, we just showed you how to use Jira during lesson number 1. I showed you how to write bug report, but of course you're going to learn much more, and you're going to practice much more, and you're going to master your Jira skills during the lessons, during the internship. So you're definitely going to have a lot of experience with Jira. In general, we would be given a list of requirements of how the site we are testing should be behaving. Yes, of course. It's called design document for the design. For in some companies, they have PRD. It's product requirement document. In other companies, they call it BRD, business requirement document, which shows you how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to work, what's supposed to be the font, the size, the color of the text and stuff like that, of the buttons, the padding, like everything. In ideal world, that's what you're going to get. Now, we don't live in ideal world. That's why in some cases, which probably going to be many cases sometimes, you will not get the design and you will not get the PRD or BRD, and you will just need to use your common sense, which actually makes it also not complicated. Because if you just use your common sense, you will find the issues that we were showing you today, right? Whenever something is not working, whenever something is misaligned, truncated, overlapped, grammar error, spelling error, missing dot, details. Okay, that's what we do. We find issues because we pay attention to details. What is the program you're using to report the bugs? It's Jira. How long is this program? It's 15 weeks, 7 weeks of the lessons. And then I will show you the timeline because I think it will be better to understand. So 7 weeks of the lessons, 3.5 weeks of the internship, 4 to 6 weeks of the mentorship, and 2 to 4 months of your active job search. Okay? Cool. By the way, guys, I believe I answered your questions, but just in case, did I miss anyone? Because if I did, please let me know. I would love to answer it. Just checking. Okay, because I was reading the questions that were marked to me by our team. Out of all the messages, we were marking the questions. If we missed someone, I apologize. So please write it down. I would love to answer it. What role QA plays in cryptocurrency? Well, I'm pretty sure that every crypto blockchain company has a lot of QA people, but maybe Brandon can share more just in case you are. But guys, definitely anyone who wants to produce a quality product for his customers, they want to have a quality assurance department. That's long story short.
Yeah, I mean that is exactly right. QA is not like some mystery term that's woven into cryptocurrency or something like that. The simple fact is, if a company has a digital presence, if they have an app or a website, they need people to check that to make sure that their customers and their clients are getting the best experience possible, and that's what we do. So yeah, exactly like you said, any company, any like cryptocurrency, if they have a client-facing program or an app, they're going to need someone like you or me or Max to test it.
Exactly. And we don't want to waste your time and effort. That's why we're going to end the lesson now, and we're going to meet on lesson number 2. Thank you very much for being with us. We definitely never going to let you down. Just follow the instructions and you will see the results very soon. Thank you very much. If you're going to have any more questions, please don't be shy. Just email advisors@careers.com. We would love to answer your questions. Have a good one. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.